Planetary health is a buzzy term here at UVM. But what does it mean and how does it impact your life? April is Earth Month, and today on Across the Fence, we're looking at an invoice from nature to see how protecting the environment also promotes human health. Hello, Vermont. In 1968, in a campaign speech at the University of Kansas, Robert F. Kennedy famously argued that the GDP measured everything except what makes life worthwhile. Inspired by that phrase, my guests today are spending Earth Month embedding planetary health into the conversation at UVM's Grossman School of Business, helping the next generation of economic leaders rethink what progress means beyond stock tickers and economic snapshots. Instead, asking, what if we measured progress by the well-being of people and the planet? It's not just a question for business leaders, it's a question for us all, because in essence, it asks, what are the real costs of the choices we make every day as consumers? And could we live differently? To have that conversation, I'm joined today by Dr. Christine Vatovec and Sarah O'Leary. Dr. Vatovec is an environmental health social scientist and clinical assistant professor in UVM's College of Nursing and Health Sciences, who is also a fellow of the Gund Institute for Environment and the Planetary Health lead at the Osher Center for Integrative Health at UVM. Sarah O'Leary, this is a lot of bona fides. Sarah O'Leary is a senior studying environmental sciences in UVM's Rubenstein School, who is a UVM Planetary Health Intern and a UVM Environmental Program Planetary Health Undergraduate Fellow. Sarah and Dr. Vatovec, welcome. And now you do know that UVM takes planetary health and the environment very seriously. It is wonderful to have both of you with me here today to have this conversation.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I said it in my intro, planetary health. It's a buzzy term at UVM. I just used it again. But not everyone at home would know what it means. So that's a good place to start. Dr. Vatovec, what is planetary health?
Yeah, so planetary health is a very old concept and something that probably will resonate with everyone once we start thinking about it. It's really just gained traction in university language over the past decade or so. But really what it is that we can't have healthy people on a sick planet. That's the basics of it. And so in the ways that human health is supported by the planet, the health of the planet is also supported by the decisions and choices that we make as individuals and in the structures of our society.
That actually makes it so clear. You cannot have healthy people on a sick planet.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So Sarah, what do you do as the Planetary Health Intern? And I know also then you're a Planetary Health Fellow, so tell us a little bit about what you're working on.
Yeah, so the main goal of my internship was to increase student awareness, engagement, and understanding of planetary health at UVM. And I accomplished this through a few different ways, but mainly being working with student groups, student leaders. I contributed student voice to the initiative level communications and meetings as well. And I did some creation of some planetary health events and social media content to outreach to students.
Yeah,
and
go ahead, keep going.
As the fellow, the fellowship basically just funds undergraduate research that connects ecology and human health. So my research specifically looks at the risk of outdoor recreationists to tick-borne pathogen exposure in UVM natural areas.
Cool. Okay. So some of the work that you have done as the Planetary Health Intern, I know actually that you helped catalyze what we're going to talk about the Grossman School. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Grossman School now, because last year, for Earth Month, so April, Earth Month, you did a takeover of UVM's social media account. And then that, in part, inspired Dr. Vatovec for what's going on at Grossman. So talk a little bit about what's happening and why the partnership with Grossman.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, yes, Sarah did the takeover of Instagram for UVM for Planetary Health Takeover, and that stuck with me. And then a couple different things all combined to bring us into Grossman this year. And so it starts a long time ago. When I was a graduate student, one of my advisors said, wouldn't it be interesting, what would happen if instead of the stock ticker just showing the highs and lows of stocks going up and down, what if it actually showed the true cost of business? And this past fall, I was teaching a course called Pathways to Planetary Health, and I happened to be randomly assigned a classroom in the Grossman School in the Calkins Hall on campus. And the very first day that I walked into Calkins Hall, I saw the stock ticker. And everything started coming together. Oh my gosh, this is that moment that my advisor was like preparing me for all those years ago. There's the stock ticker. I'm teaching planetary health. What can I do here? And I happened to know the right people to ask, and the people at Grossman School have been very welcoming and said, sure, let's do this. Instead of just taking over the stock ticker for Earth Day, you could take over our 8 video boards all around the Grossman School of Business for the whole month of April and really promote Earth Month.
Right, with these posters. And so we've got some of the posters, and these are the first ones I think that it started with, right? Where are these posters? And we're going to kind of show what they look like. Where are these posters coming from?
So a couple different places. One is simply my passion for this area. I've been studying this for the past 20 plus years. And a few different key resources have come out in the past year, thinking about the Planetary Health Check, which is an evidence base of just saying, how is the Earth doing? If you could put a stethoscope up to the Earth, what's happening with all the different Earth systems, and what are the things we need to do to really bring us back into balance, because our activities have really started pushing limits beyond their capability and getting into dangerous zones that are affecting us. And so in that realm, just bringing in those resources, and then also I'm teaching a course called Human Health and the Environment, and Sarah is one of my teaching assistants, and so we've been working with the students to design posters as well, so it's been a nice collaboration.
Yeah, and so in week 1, those are the ones we just saw, you made the case for planetary health and how we're all, we all benefit or are harmed. And then in successive weeks, you're sharing more facts about the planetary crisis. You want to talk a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. So just for viewers' interest, there are 9 different planetary boundaries. We won't go into all of them, but you can condense them. The United Nations Secretary General has condensed them down into 3 called the triple planetary crisis. And so the 3 are climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. And so we're really in this campaign,
big ones we should really be
those are the
about,
things that are we're really pushing limits here. And it's coming back to harm us. And we see that in Vermont in terms of the changing climate, right? Like the experiences over the past several summers with the increased intensity of rainfall and the flooding that we've seen, wildfire smoke, more intense high heat days. So really, right, you can really feel it here in Vermont.
It even actually resonates with your research, right? When you're talking about the higher incidence of ticks and ticks in the environment, and what's the risk then for outdoor recreationists? Yes,
Exactly.
Okay, so it's all coming back around to human health. Okay, well now let's stick with you. Okay, so that social media account takeover, and a takeover for folks at home, what is a takeover? That would be where, so say Across the Fence hands over our social media account to Sarah and says, you get to run it. So whatever you think that the folks at home should see about Across the Fence, you get to decide. So that was the takeover. When you did this for the UVM, like for the UVM audience, was it run by a theory of behavior change, or something was behind that says that this kind of information helps people change their behavior?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, my goal of my internship was to kind of increase student awareness. So I kind of took a minute and I was like, okay, so how can I reach out to students? How can I actually help them be more aware of planetary health at UVM and just planetary health overall as a concept? So I felt like social media was honestly a really good method to be using to kind of reach.
Students are on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I felt like it
at.
was a good method to use to do student outreach and everything, because students are already on social media a lot, pretty much every single day, and I felt like they do have some reliance on social media to get information, whether that be about current events or about just what's going on with their community and their school. So I kind of worked on doing social media outreach. I organized that, and I felt that you can't expect change, or you can't expect people to be inspired by something that they don't understand or they're not aware of. So I felt like having like Planetary Health, even just like having the word out there and their like daily scrolls and everything, I felt was helpful to kind of just get that understanding out there and to reach the certain audience. And there's probably a handful of people who were like, oh, like, whoa, like, what is this? Like, let me look into it more.
And thus how this feeds into then what's happening with the posters at the Grossman School, because now you have an audience of people who are in, thinking about what they're, business decisions, maybe that's a very simplistic understanding, but as they're growing their ideas about the future, businesses they might run, et cetera, putting the environment into their mind. So talk to a little bit about, changes we can all make in our lives, because I want to bring this around to the audience. When you and I spoke, I loved the way you framed this. You said that we can all shift the way we're searching for happiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this actually comes from the Human Health and Environment class, where for the past 10 years or so, I've been having an assignment for the students where we do this Sustainable Wellbeing Challenge. And there's this evidence-based showing there's these 5 activities that increase human happiness and well-being without having a cost to the planet. And so the students each week over 5 weeks get to select a particular activity that's of interest to them within these 5 different realms. Sarah, you're gonna have to help make sure that I get them all. So physical activity, social connection, helping others, lifelong learning, so skills-based learning, and mindfulness. And so the students go out and they select an activity within those realms each week, and they do something called this positive and negative affect survey before and after the event, and that helps them just monitor within themselves, how happy am I, how unhappy am I, and then see the change.
And for folks at home, so now this is something that then you can start thinking about how could you do as well. So
yes,
noting the change.
Noting the change within yourself. Do you feel better after this activity? And then you look and see, well, what was the actual carbon cost? What was the footprint, the environmental footprint of the activity? And then the students come in and we all discuss together, which of these work for you? And every person is a little different. So certain activities are gonna work really well for some people, and their well-being just boosts within 20 minutes, right? I've had students say they've had such a great time learning how to fix a bike tire. And feeling empowered to do that sort of thing themselves. And other people say, I don't usually call my grandma, but I called my grandma for this social connection, and we both ended up feeling better. So there's all sorts of different things that really do just very quickly improve our happiness level and don't have an environmental cost.
Which is then, so we're kind of at the end here, so this is the final takeaway of it is, there are ways that we are used to spending our time and our money, et cetera, to bring happiness, but there are other things that we can think about doing. Something as simple even as calling your grandma. I think that's the winner. Dr. Vatovec and Sarah O'Leary, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great. And as always, thank you, Vermont, for learning and exploring with me today, and thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.